two Waterford people here, and you know the Tipperary people all go to Tramore. They go for the summer, and then they come home that evening when the summer is over. But anyway, this is a story about that. It's called Mammy's Day in Tramore. Why not don't break down? We'll get to this. My grandmother, yeah. My uncle John Bryan, he lived with his mother, a widow woman, aged 94. But she died of a sudden after eating black pudding from a pig who died 3 weeks before. John, he was sad. Sure, it was the only pig that he had, and now it lay dead at his feet. Though his poor heart was breaking, he said he'd not waste the bacon, for himself and his mam loved red meat. A barrel of salt he procured, and the bacon he cured. He hung it up on a hook o'er the fire. Such a fine hunk of meat, with no best before date, and no word on when 'twould expire. In the weeks that passed by, every morning a fry, they had 2 pork chops each round midday. For dinner 'twas bacon, and if I am not mistaken, 'twas crew beans and drisheen for the take. But one Friday night, John awoke with a fright to hear his mam give a strange cough. He rushed to her side. In his arms, sure she died. Her last words, "That pudding was off." Well, John was distraught, but his very first thought was, perhaps he'd not let her go. They'd been together for years, shared the joys and the tears. Without her, so where could he go? Though at 15 he'd left school, he was nobody's fool. Not brilliant at figures or words, but from a tutor named Bernie, he had learned taxidermy, how to stuff small animals and birds. So armed with this knowledge from St. Sheelan's College, he set to work with great care. And he worked through the night so his mam would look right. He even put a perm in her hair. When the job was complete, well, me granny, she looked neat, dressed up in her fine Sunday best, with her hat on her head. If you didn't know she was dead, and by God, you'd never have guessed. Now, a week prior to her death, she expressed her regret that to the seaside she'd never gone, and she felt an old dip that might cure her bad hip. "We'll go for your birthday," says John. So to keep her alive till she'd reached 95, now that was John's only intention. But first things came first, and John feared for the worst when he went down to town for her pension. The postmistress said, "John, how's your mum getting on? I hope that she's feeling okay." Says John, "She's all right. She'd a very quiet night, and she's not been complaining today." Was the July 1st Friday, John prayed for a dry day. He took his mam out to the line. He set her up in a pose as though pegging out clothes. And he thought to himself, "She looks fine." Father Brown, he came round. John made not a sound as he hid in behind the plum tree. "How are you, Mrs. Bryan?" John croaked out, "I'm fine, but I won't bring you in for the tea." Well, her birthday rolled by. It was the 5th of July. John backed the car up to the door. He loaded his mam and some brown bread and jam, and they both set off for Tramore. Well, he reached the seashore around 3:15. He found a quiet spot on the beach. He had £20 in a jar, cost him £3 for the car. That left him with £8.50 each. He pulled out a deck chair, put his mam sitting there, as though she was having a nap. Poured himself a small paddy, offered mum some my waddy, and put the Ireland's own on her lap. But John was soon fast asleep, and the waves rolled in from the deep, and the tide crept closer to shore. It swirled round his mam's body, spilled her glass of my wine. But John just continued to snore. Well, he awoke with a shock, oh, it was near 9 o'clock. The tide had came in and moved on. The sun, it was now low. John said, Mammy, we'll go. But your mammy was already gone. He looked out on the tide. Oh, Mammy, he cried, as he watched her sail over the foam. With a tear in his eye, he waved her goodbye. Then he packed up his stuff and went home. Though his ma was recovered, his deed was never discovered. They said, a woman drowned, aged 94. But John, he knew better, and he'd never forget her, nor the birthday they spent in Tramore.